Here now, under everything we talk about, it's 8 weeks since his surgery. And you know what 8 weeks mean now? I'm still in trouble because as I tell Oli, I'm giving Oli full disclosure. Complications have led to incisions not healing as they should. So I'm still doing my short episodes and getting out here as fast as I could and doing segment by segment so that I sit down with my foot hanging down too long. But this is officially 8 weeks. Tuesday makes 8 weeks that I did the surgery. So I supposed to be walking in my own shoes again. Yes?
Left, right, in the government boots, left, right.
No more boots, no more boots.
Left, right,
no more boots, no more boots.
left, right.
No more boots, but the doctor say I still had to wear it.
Is it necessary to have so much soldiers in this small country? No. Is it necessary to shine soldier boots with taxpayers' money? No.
Tell Sergey, is he said 2 more weeks of boots for me?
Unemployment high and the treasury low,
And the shining boots to cover soldier toe. I see them
boots and more boots. On the feet of young, trigger happy recruits. I see them boots and more boots.
Oh Lord.
Marching, threatening army troops. Tell Tom I say, that would undo. But to see, but me and you, and most of all your children, and stop them soldiers from marching.
Sing.
Left, right.
No more boots.
The
Yes, more
government
boots.
boots. Left, right. The government boots. The government boots. Left, right. The government boots. The government boots. Left, right. The government boots. The government boots.
Welcome to episode 105 of the Quarry Shepherd podcast. Well, you know now that I planned this episode and I planned to play that song before I get the news that I had to wear the boot for a little more longer. Did I just say a little more longer? Yeah, a little more longer. 2 weeks again in this boot. It's feeling good. I'll tell you later that my updates are feeling good. I'm walking a little decent and thing, you know what I mean? Better than before, less pain, but still little complications. So I'm following doctor orders and I'm keeping my foot up. Coincidentally, this is the first song I could remember that make me love Kaiso, love Calypso. This song by Gabby. They have boots. This had to be around 1984, 85, if I'm not mistaken. When I hear this, something about this, that left, right. This song was just bad. And this was the other song I planned to play because this is one of the first songs I ever fall in love with dancehall. I think the first one would be I am Constable Brown, they call me Boy Blue. I have here a warrant to arrest you. You beat up the girl till she black and blue and ask what the hell the police can do. I come to show what police can do. I go and show what police can do. I have a button tough like Rockstone. I go and introduce it to your jawbone. Make your ears them ring like government phone. You remember that? That was one of my first dancehall loves. But you know what was the song that really catch me with dancehall? Alright, just know Gabby, you calm down.
Now this one, dedicated to all the youths.
Sergey bust my bubble. It was no more boots, and then it was this.
This one called The Walking Machine.
Sing! Hey, follow me. Hey.
Listen to me. Never call me.
Walking machine, never call me. Walking machine, ding ding. Walking machine, never call me.
Walking machine, ding ding.
Yes.
Walking machine, never call me.
Walking machine,
ding ding.
Walking machine. Hey, lyrics, eh?
Walking machine.
Come me walk like a police car with a siren. Belly never run out and no gasoline.
Knock for me do.
Me say, mama, let me in.
She say, what you doing?
You're looking so unclean.
None, me and me cat,
When them call Floraline.
man the two we rest up on the house in scheme.
Walking machine.
Never call me walking machine, ding ding ding. Walking machine, never call me walking machine. If I rode it ever in the Caribbean, me walk from Kingston and me gonna Washington. Me walk from Washington and me gonna Anchor. Me go check me Chinese bridging where them call Mr. Pang. Mr. Pang, him a tell me him a sell some Japan. Follow me now.
Walking machine never call me. Walking machine, ding ding ding. Walking machine never call me. So no, that was the plan. But salute Sergi. Sergi say calm down. Sergi say calm all the way down. Keep on the boot. Keep rested. Keep that foot elevated. And let me make sure we get past this phase. So we still in the phase. We still here, but I'm here for another episode. Welcome to episode 105 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in. Hey, don't forget to go and check out my conversation with Colin Dixon that we had last week. You'll see it on my YouTube page. I'm going to do like what them YouTubers do, right? You could click this link here. Now, I'm doing that, not knowing how they just do that. But when I finish here and I go and edit, I go and see if I can figure out how you do that. But click this link here and you will find the link to the Colin Dixon thing, hopefully. If you didn't find it, just click on the channel when you subscribe and you like and you share and thing. Just do that for me now, please. One day I'll go figure out how to do all them nice things. Now, as I was saying last week, as I suspected, I take a little 2 weeks off due to medical reasons and medical concerns. The only thing that's getting me to stop here. And it had all the news in the world. When I start back coming on a regular basis now, nothing. Dog running across the airport in Piaco. That's the lead story. Sorry. Dog in the airport in Piaco is a dog show. Coincidentally, the same week where a man in the airport authority claiming that we're going to bring back the Waving Gallery. For what? I don't know. I'm not sure what was the purpose of the Waving Gallery. I'm not even sure what was the purpose of that discussion and how it come up that the Waving Gallery had to come back as a thing. I'm thinking that post 9/11 and these things, the Waving Gallery mightn't be such a great idea. I know Pizza Boys is the place that people... I wonder if people still do it. There was a point at which you could go upstairs by Pizza Boys, especially when you drop somebody for an early flight. You could go and pay $25 and get copious amounts of buljol, saltfish, and choker. You used to pay $25 and get 3 ingredients with about 2 or 3 sada. Remember them days? Everything gets so expensive now. Starbucks take over. But you could go up there and eat your little breakfast and then watch the plane go and wave, I suppose, pretending that the people could see you. I have serious doubts as to whether the people in the Waving Gallery, I was too young to understand what you're seeing in the Waving Gallery. I'm pretty sure I went there a few times. But when you're watching all them window in a plane, you don't even know if you seeing your person, because your person, you waving at A, B, and C, but your person in D, E, and F, and you're waving hard. And I mean, that was the days of all them people going in the airport. I also in a position now where I don't want nobody pick me up from the airport. It has some people who is faithful airport pick-uppers. There's some people in my life who, when you call them, they're coming in the airport to pick you up, regardless of what time or what day, and they're dropping you in the airport too. So a man like Burton Hinkson, original airport pickup, or you call Burton, you're going to get a next plane ride back home by you when you call him. People is come for you. But now, with rideshare and them thing, you're going to rideshare pretty easy in the airport and bus out. Same thing like you do when you go in the States. When you go in the States, you jump in an Uber and you go. Like, I remember being in Miami airport in particular, right? And seeing people, like, with their bags and stuff, with the luggage by the side, just like what we do in Trinidad. And they have their luggage and everything. And then they see a car come in and they kind of wave, hey. And I thinking, well, they're waving to Uncle John, you know what I mean? Hey, Uncle John, look my hair. And I thinking to myself, but it's so nice in a place like Miami that people still pick people up in the airport. Me and know is Uber. People use it. Ignorance is bliss. I never realized it's Uber. They own Uber that they're flagging down, so I'm in the same position now, because when I go there, I mean, who you calling to pick you up? They get Uber, run your Uber up the road. And I still used to go for a long time in Miami airport and go if you know Miami airport, you could go down below, assuming where you come out on ground level, but you could go downstairs and get a yellow cab. I don't even know if them yellow cabs still working or if they're in existence. I don't see what's the purpose of going down for a yellow cab when you could get a Uber right outside the door. But our airport much like that now. But as they say here, lead story. Piaco International Airport temporarily shuts down because of tarmac. Due to tarmac on Piaco International Airport temporarily shuts down tarmac due to stray dogs. The tarmac at Piaco International Airport was closed on Wednesday after stray dogs overtook the runway. This is the funny part, right? for like 15:03, which left Crown Point at 7:17 a.m. en route to Trinidad, was forced to return after circling in the Gulf of Paria for half an hour. Oh, this is where you know you're living in a blessed country, right? was the obvious joke gone to the dogs? Imagine for a 15-20 minute flight, you had to circle for half hour and then head back and make that 15 minutes. You had to announce to the people, hey, here what's going on. We have a situation and we had to go back. I want to know what the pilot tell them people. Because I tell you last year when I was flying to go and see my sister in DC airport, the man go close to where he landed and then mash our gas again and pull back out and tell us, and next plane didn't come off the runway in time, and I'm wondering now, was it dog? It was the dog there in DC that caused them to have to pull out. Will they give us the real reason? Did they tell those people who was coming here, hey, what's going on here? It's a real stray dogs on the runway. And due to who is the people? Peter? TSPCA? A man like me. Let's talk about nowadays versus long time, right? And the age of enlightenment and stuff, right? And the sensitivities that people have. I watched 2 comedy specials over the last 2 weeks. I watched the great Dave Chappelle. That wasn't really a comedy special. It was more of a speech, and we will talk about that a little bit today. But I also watched Bill Burr, who is a genius. A genius at challenging all the sensitivities that this world facing now and all the things that we can't hear and our ears get so soft, you know what I mean? But back in the day, we was not such a loving people and loving and caring for animals. I want to say that when the waving gallery was still there, if them dogs had dared to be on the runway when we had a waving gallery, them pilots was licking down them dog. I being insensitive or what being? Because them pilots was not, it's dogs. Not just dogs, eh? It's French bulldog and all these English bulldog and all these expensive dog people like to talk about these days. Is potong the men say stray dogs. That's what's on the runway. Only with me. I feel Biwi back in the day was landing that plane. Dog had to scatter. Because, all right, let me talk about driving, right? When you're driving down a road, right? No dogs will harm them making in this episode, right? But if you're driving down the road and you see a bunch of stray dogs on the roadway, you don't think if you mash gas and think them dogs smart enough to try and get out of the way? I doubt in them stray dogs, as wild as they might be, and how many of them were there, I don't know, and why they end up there, and what is the protocol for if you see stray dogs there? They don't dog whistle or no kind of thing could get rid of the dog. But I feel if them dogs see a plane coming in, I feel like they get small. We are some of the smartest potongs in the world. Like, one of the days when you see a dog in the road, stop for the dog to cross. You see the dog cross the road like you see the dog cross the road like normal. He ain't got no problem. So, stray dogs is anything, and then they'll turn back in that situation. And that, friends, is the lead story of the podcast today. It might just be the only story. But I'm going back to the beginning, right? I play a little song by Gabby there, which I say was one of my favorite. And I want to salute Barbados at the beginning of this podcast. It's now crop over weekend. And everything I see, it's a crop over weekend look nice. I wish I could have go crop over. I had to make sure my foot good. Because one of the main things I focused on now is I'm supposed to travel in August. Hint, hint, podcast episodes. I'm supposed to travel early in August. And I want to make sure my foot good to go on the people playing. Although I'm making sure all the boots are going in my boot though. They will push me in a wheelchair and hand me straight to the front of immigration in Miami. But I want to make sure that I'm good there, and I also want to make sure that I'm good because I'm officially playing mass with Yuma come 2023. You know what I mean? Back to Yuma. I don't figure out Yuma. Me and my little boys, we get together and we say we back to Yuma. Long time we been playing a band back to back years, every year we jumping and changing band. But Yuma look like it. You know what I mean? So we back there, and I can't hop and drop through the Yuma experience because when they start to sing song like slow wine, come give me that fast wine, whatever this song is, right? I can't rather it out. I can't do it. I had to be able to maintain a kind of order. You know what I mean? I done a 2 little chip in me already. But I'm watching Barbados crop over, and it looking nice. I was taking in Jamaica Carnival last couple weeks. I find it wasn't looking so nice, but Barbados crop over looking a little vibesy, and I seeing things going over there. Coincidentally, while I going through Instagram today, I saw Scotch advertising a last minute package. Hoppy, now I want to be wary of something. Eh? Anytime Hoppy advertising something, it bust. He catch my ear with a fully loaded with Bounty Killer and Movado, Bounty Killer and Beanie Man. And Idonia, if I'm not mistaken, in the complex. And we went down in the Idonia and thing. Tickets advertising, when Scotch advertising and Hoppy on radio trying to promote thing, it busted and happening. But this time he promoting something to Barbados is $16.50 US a ticket, right? Stay with me. The ticket is all inclusive, meaning it covering your airfare from Piaco to Barbados, so Grantley Adams. And all your tickets to your fets covered. You're staying in an all-inclusive hotel, I think. Pretty sure that's what they said. And all your ground transfers and all those things covered. So $16.50 is a piece of money. Yeah? And in these hard times, I know how much people could jump it out, but he know his audience and people will probably pay for it. And if my foot was good and my money was right, I might just do that for a runway. I could do that little runway. But Barbados crop over looking nice. And I saw the thing that was going viral on Monday with Burna Boy and Mia Motley. Clearly two of them know one another from somewhere. I don't know where they meet or what was the arrangement with two of them, but she see him, they see one another, and it was like a son who's traveled the world often get to come home and see mother. That man hung up Mia Motley, she nearly fall down. Only see the video already, right? And I want that video to set the tone for what we had to talk about to this podcast, right? Time short, but we're going to use that to set the tone for what we come here to talk about. I always talk about Mia Motley as being an exemplary leader in the Caribbean, right? Now, most people who challenge me on that will challenge me by saying, well, she do this and this not good and that. And okay, cool. I could accept that. She knows people say she's a talker and not a doer, right? And I want to say that, you see, politics is a funny thing. And let me talk governance and not politics for a minute, right? When you go in there as the prime minister, the notion or there's a tendency for the average person to think that the prime minister must do this and do that, and we must see the minister. I all this suffer from it, you know, because I used to talk about Marlene McDonald all the time. I want to see Marlene. I want to see them. And it's nice. Let me go back to the Kamala Persad-Bissessar-led UNC government of 2010. Only remember when they were sworn in. Heavy rainfall the day, and they had flooding. And Kams and the crew, I remember Kams in particular, Ramadar Singh, if I'm not mistaken, Ramlo, a whole squad of the winners, the winning team, put on their boots and they went down in the flood areas and they mop out the whole river. They mop out all the flooding themselves. They walk with some big mop and some squeegee and they clean off the streets. The thing, they give out hamper, the full. All you remember that? No. I will say that those things work well for politicking sake, right? But it don't do very much for people. They can't do that. Your role as whether it's prime minister or minister of government is setting policy, right? Your purpose is a long-term purpose. Unfortunately, we had to elect people every 5 years, which is not really, the two things don't really match. You're putting somebody there to put policy in place that will have a good effect or good impact in the country in the long run. The long run could be 5, 10, even up to 30 years if you're talking governance, right? But every 5 years, the man had to prove himself to you. So some of the things that the man doing might not bear fruit yet. And then we're going to vote and say that he dang and he wicked and all that thing. Reminds me of a fellow by the name of Patrick Murphy and Augustus Manning. Remember Manning? Manning had gone to the folks in Lockjack, the good people of Lockjack, most of them who had made up that 2010 administration for the UNC they are talking about. And he came up with this document called a 2020 vision, right? Of where he wanted the country to be. I read the document. I was in Lockjack at the time when they were working on it. And I remember as part of the manifesto and all that, they were campaigning based on this 2020 vision. I find it was a solid document from a governance standpoint. My one critique of it was always that, and maybe my critique of Patrick Manning as a whole was that you could do the long-term visioning and stuff, which is important, or even more important for me when it comes to governing a country. But you mustn't forget that hunger is a short-term problem. You cannot solve hunger in the long run. Like right now, I have a man next door here vexed with me because I come to record the podcast when he hungry and he looking for dinner and it's me and he alone home. So every word I say, he getting more vexed because a hungry man is an angry man and hunger is a short-term problem. Stay with me, this all going somewhere, right? So when Manning was looking at this long-term vision of what we must be as a people, what we must look like and how we must behave, what our capital city must look like. So it was about infrastructure, about people, about the sports. It was well-rounded in terms of an approach. My one critique was, listen, they have so many problems that we have to fix now that you had as I always tell people in the office, we had to fix the tire while the car driving. You can't stop to change a flat in business and in governance, right? You have to fix it as you go along. So what you could do is put the 2020 vision in place, but also put some things in place where man could eat every day, things to figure things out, so that we're not suffering while we're waiting on this better tomorrow. Kamala Prasad Bisesa and them came in and them forget the whole idea that it have a long term. Salute to them. I tell you, this applause button yellow, it's nice. Them forget that they have a long term, scrap the 2020 vision, and them start to feed people immediately. If you're pregnant, you get about $1 million to make that child, right? If you're hungry, you get $1 million to go in the grocery, and you can't buy cigarette much. And you know what I mean? You can't buy what they call luxury items and them thing. I know what luxury items is. But you have a food card that you could go and you could get thing. You get $1,500 if you're born. 50, you know what I mean? They just had a whole lot of grants, which was good because it starts solving a lot of the immediate problems that people having, like hunger and sending children to school. They get everybody a laptop. They give that was the most given administration we've seen in a long time, right? Then just decide we're gonna make people sweet. And those short-term things work well because when you put enough short-term things in place and you have an election coming in the short run, you could win that election. You understand? In the 5 years, people must remember how much road you pave, how much hamper you get them, how much time you come and sweep up every time they had flood and you mop out the place yourself. You know, come and mop home by me, share my vote. So we as human beings not very good at looking after our own long-term well-being. We kind of more focused on the short run, right? I read in a book one time that they had some people living in a village out in the forest, and they were warned that the trees were emitting something that was destroying their respiratory system slowly but surely, and that they were going to die and they should move eventually because within 20 years, everybody here will be dead if you only continue breathing in that air. You know how much people move out to that area? None. You know how much people dead after 20 years? All. Largely because we're not very good at looking out our long-term well-being. We're very short-term in nature, and there's a lot of rewards to be given to human beings in the short run. You're hungry now, you eat something nice, so the more hungry you get is the more likely you are to eat fast food and to eat junk, right? But the fast food and the junk don't work for your long-term health and well-being, you know what I mean? Again, somewhere, stay with me, again, somewhere. So governance is something where you have to try to find the balance between the long-term well-being of a country so that when 2020 come, you're not suffering from the same problems I had in 2005, 2006, which is where we are now. We're in 2022, and we're suffering from the same problems that we had back 15 years ago and 17, because we seem to have lost the impetus, the motivation, the drive to have a long-term vision. I don't know what's the vision for this country. I'm not sure. Based on the last 3 administrations we had, 2 PNM and a UNC, I'm not sure where we're supposed to be going as a country. I don't know if you know, but I'm not sure. And getting back to Mia Motley, I think this is what she does great as a leader, and that's why she's getting the attention of the world or getting the eyes of the world. It might have less to do with how well she executes as a leader in the Caribbean and how much her roads paved and how much good COVID decisions she make and when she take away mask and when she give back mask and when she say we could thing and how much grant she give. It has more to do with what she says to inspire people to work on things for themselves, so that he always talking about, okay, where we are as a Caribbean people, what has us at a disadvantage, what are the things in the world that's being done to help and support disadvantaged countries, what we mean as a Caribbean people, going out there and quoting from people like Bob Marley, who would have been standing up for the rights of the downtrodden and the underprivileged in the Caribbean and worldwide, things that everybody could relate to all over the place. I am sure that if I was to take a granular look at every speech she gives in Barbados, they might not all be like that. But certainly every time she get a platform that is global in nature, and it makes me feel like if she more like this than not, she tends to leave people with some kind of inspiring message. Because the government can't save you. Nobody coming to save you, right? It's going to be individuals in this country who make the difference in the country. It's always been that way. No government care, especially when you oil and gas is not the industry that we'll be able to depend on. Let me take the same 15-year horizon. We ain't going to be able to depend on oil and gas for the next 15 years. So what is the industry? What is the business? What it is we getting into that going to earn at least enough tax dollars for us to live this lifestyle that we live in now, and much, much better, because they have so much things that we need improving on, right? And I don't know if anybody in this country knows. I don't know if anybody in this country is communicating a clear vision as to what we are, what we're working on, what we're going after. So listen, in 2030, we want to become the music capital of the world, where all the best artists in the world come here and record music and this. So what we're going to do is now we're going to give more funding for tertiary education for anybody who going into anything in the performing arts and music and this. You know what I mean? A vision now, it had to break it back down to say, all right, what is the actionable steps we're taking so that in 2030 we could be somewhere closer to this vision that we're trying to aspire to. And I think it's something that Mia Motley does a great job at least the part where setting the vision. I don't have enough information to say if she actually doing the work and so on, but she does have a way of inspiring people. I want to take a minute to salute that. I think Manning had it too. But somebody tell me Manning turning in his grave. Right now I feel Manning turn over and turn his whole back. And right now he backed away. He hiding his face and turning down. Because I saw a press conference today, right? Now it's something I plan to talk about. Should I play the clip from this press conference? Let me read 2 articles. Forget that clip. I can't take the clip from CNC3. I'll go back and watch the press conference that Rowlers had on Monday this week, right? But I'm going back to the article I spoke about last week. Jacob, murders not out of hand. This is from the 25th of June, from the Daily Express, written by Alexander Bruzol, I think. 6 murders recorded within 24 hours on Monday pushed the 2022 murder toll to 249. This was on June 20th, right? The murder toll now, June 25th. By the time you're listening to it, this will be July 19th, right? So consider this a little less than a month from when this statement was made. This was 249. Now we passed 300, right? So understand what happened within the weeks of him making this statement. But Jacob was saying that the murder toll is not out of hand because it compares well to what it was pre-COVID. Fast forward to today, and your prime minister is in the papers and doing press conferences. It can't be real. It can't be real. We should just stick to the dog story here. Violent crime at crisis level to be declared a public health issue. So between the 25th of June and the 18th of July, we went from one month from it being, this is normal, in normal McDonald Jacob laid back language, to the prime minister now, the boss, the king, coming and saying violent crime is at crisis level and to be declared a public health issue. Because shotgun bullets is bad for your health. You know, ever heard that before? Let me read now. Admitting that the dramatic, who write this article? K. Marie Rodriguez, right? Admitting that the dramatic escalation in violent crime is now at crisis level, the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, today announced a plan to declare it as a public health issue. Speaking at a news conference on Monday morning, the Prime Minister addressed what he referred to as a plethora of violent and unacceptable conduct, I say so, that had been observed through the country in recent times. Now, before I go any further, right? We's real social media people. We governing by social media now because what I see over the last month, I don't find it no different to what I was seeing over the last 5 years in Trinidad. But that's just me. I probably wrong about that, right? But because it's on social media, a man is get killed on Broadway, the man have a gun. Let me get back to this, right? When you have a knife, you have to get up close to somebody to shoot them, right? When you have a gun, one of the reasons that the man invent gun is so that you don't have to get into close combat. You can stay from far and shoot. He ain't bothered to work on aim and thing, you walk right up to the man selling the water and shoot him in the back of the head and run off. In the middle of the song, in the middle of the day. But anyway, so I guess we're responding to social media now. Whatever, go viral, the Prime Minister had to respond to that. Which to me reeks of a lack of long-term planning. But that's beside the point. Anyway, where was I? He said the country's police service was convinced that increased criminal conduct, which involves criminal access to firearms and their ability to pose a threat to the population, was a result of the shortcoming on part of the state. So I guess the police saying the state is the problem, right? Okay. This, he said, was in part due to criminal access to state resources. This is getting interesting. He said that government would move ahead with its intentions to address the issue of violence and crime from a public health perspective as these issues had become part of the local norm, manifest in homes, schools, and from person to person. Also, we're dealing with domestic violence and school fight too. School fight is definitely a public health issue. Now, when you say it's a shortcoming of the state, and then you say it's due to criminal access to state resources. Let me read further so I understand what you mean here. I want to be sure about what I'm talking about here. We've had inordinate levels of crime, and in the most recent times, and the brazenness, bold-facedness, and impunity with which criminal elements are operating, largely with the use of firearms through the organizations of gangs and hired killers in our community. I did say recently that with respect to breaking the cycle and stilling the flow of new recruits into the criminal element and the flush of criminal behavior from our young people, who form significant parts of these minorities that are terrorizing the country. To break this cycle, that is the government's intention to declare violent crimes a public health issue, because violence across the society is now the norm. From domestic violence, violence in schools, violence person to person, armed responses for everything, and gains to be had by criminal conduct, lives to be lost, and property to be stolen, and things like that. That is one of the most convoluted sentences I ever read. I hope it makes sense. And in doing so, he said a committee has been formed tasked with defining the issue in a public context and developing a plan of action. A committee. It's beautiful. That's exactly what we're going to stop this, a committee. This is what we need, you know what I mean? Such a plan, he said, would involve directly addressing the population's youth through education and decreasing access and desensitization to crime within communities. The intention is to have in the context of this issue, we raise it. Who's writing these sentences? The intention is to have, in the context of this issue, we raise in this way that we develop a national plan of action. And that plan of action would be driven by a public health approach. That approach would involve defining of the problem. I've simply acknowledged that there is a problem, and if there is a problem, we will define it. We will identify the causes and the risk factors. We will design a response and test the interventions we are going to make. We will develop and scale up the effective interventions and support continuous evaluation. What else do you all the time? Anyway, sorry. The objective is to enter the youth population at various levels and begin a line of education which should steer people away from participation or being desensitized by crime and criminal activity. We believe if we do that effectively, we would begin to generate a wave of people who would reject the crime or be in a position to respond to it from the personal through the home, through the school. I don't know what these sentences mean. The committee, he said, would be co-chaired by the Permanent Secretary of the Minister of Social Development and Family Services and the Ministry of Health, overseen by the Office of the Prime Minister, and it would involve the participation of the Minister of National Security, the Police Service, the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, and Ministry of Education and the Tobago House of Assemblies. All right. I'm trying to make sense of this thing, right? Because I'm reading this long into an article. I typically don't, but I'm trying to see where exactly, or like what he's saying will cause it to be a public health issue. Is it that the amount of stitches men are to get when they get grazed, or the morgue, or I'm trying to figure out where exactly is a public health issue, or is that mental health? It might be mental health. I figure it out. What you mean is mental health. You have to be mentally unstable to want to respond to everything violently like this. Let me go on to make sure that I ain't wrong about this, right? Crime under this context. He said the issue of crime as a public health concern was not brand new, and that operation was in response to a crisis. Crime under this context, he said, was on the agenda of CARICOM and the Pan American Health Organization. CARICOM said he discussed the issue. CARICOM, he said, has discussed the issue and will raise a meeting in Barbados where the countries will pool resources to treat it. So there's a Caribbean-wide thing that we're treating crime as a national health issue. During a cabinet retreat, it had nothing here to tell me exactly why it's a public health issue. I wanted to meet with the police and the defense force. I took time out from the retreat and I went with the national security minister and other elements of the national security, and I met with them in a separate place in a separate room in my capacity as chairman for the National Council, and we discuss the security agency's response to what has happened. Okay, there's nothing in this article that explaining to me exactly why crime being treated as a public health issue. Somebody got to help me understand this. Like, what does it mean? You know what's the first thing comes to my mind, to be honest? Firstly, when he called Paho about this, will it be the CDC and the WHO he going to next to find out what we developing a crime vaccine or some kind of thing that they coming with next? I don't know. But the first thing that came to my mind was, is it that we doing this as a public health issue because we realize how much people pay attention to public health issues post-COVID? And we are very, very open to seeing daily press conferences explaining what the situation is. So remember the initial part where we had accepted that COVID was a thing. Some of us feel like COVID wasn't that serious. Some of us feel it was a complete disaster. And most of us were somewhere in between there, right? But what I could say is all of us, if we PNM, UNC, whoever was the parties involved at the time, all of us would have tuned into those initial press conferences just to hear what happened. And remember how it felt when we had the first case of COVID in the country? Whether you believe in it, you don't believe in it, people wearing their mask or not, everybody was like, who is here? We had a precaution, we had to take. I remember, so my cousin Sheppy, we had to make a plan. We say, all right, here what's going on. If anybody get COVID in the household, this is what we do. You send them, let them quarantine by you. You don't ready to send everybody with COVID down by me already. But we quarantine here and we do this, and this is how we're going to survive this thing. Because at that time, we don't know what we're facing. We're seeing large numbers of people dying in other countries. And if you were comparing them numbers to Trinidad, it's only like the whole of Trinidad got dead, so everybody was frightened. So is it that we're treating crime as a public health issue so that people are scared enough to tune into your press conferences every day? And as far as I'm concerned, those press conferences are nice little political campaigns paid for by the state 3 years before you had to start campaigning in a meaningful way for election. I have a red jersey, right? So I'll never say anything like that about these guys in red, right? Because everybody fought, right? But I'm wondering, is it that we just going to see Fitz every day? Or maybe Terrence coming to talk every day. He said, well, I spoke to Carfer today, and Carfer said that 4 people got shot. Some people were stabbed. Tranquil, they fought. Is it that we're going to get updates on all the crime that happening every day? So just like the deaths, because they used to come and tell us, all right, this amount of people died, this amount had comorbidities, so what we gonna do? What the breakdown gonna look like? Carfor told us that it was gang related because now it had no vaccine, right? So they had to say, all right, this was crime and 10 people died, but 10 of them were gang related, and we have to. I cannot understand. I can't understand what is the purpose of this and how it fallen as our health. Or is it that he realized that he have a minister of security doing nothing? He's not the most active person. You have a tendency, you know what I mean? Sometimes people have illnesses. I can't tell nobody nothing. I can't even sit down for too long these days. I can't walk too far, walking slow. So who the hell is me to tell anybody anything who's drop asleep on the job? Yeah, sometimes you have to take a 5, you know what I mean? While you're talking and things sometimes. But isn't that he realized the Prime Minister of National Security today who really ain't doing nothing? So maybe I should move this under health because at least the health thing is come out every day. And then I don't wonder if the health thing, after about 2 weeks of press conferences, the health thing started to come out in coverall because it's emergency gear, reflective coverall and things like if you're working offshore. I want to know if I go and see the health thing in fatigues in these streets, you know what I mean? Coming out here fighting the good fight. Is he going to be... I want to know. I can't understand. I saw it in the papers and I couldn't believe it. And then I see a press conference where they're saying public health issues. So anybody who could help me understand this, please help me. I'm trying my best genuinely to understand, like, why is crime going to be treated from a policy standpoint as a public health issue? Like, what are the policies that the health people going to write to help us to deal with crime? Is it that they're going to teach us how to do CPR, how to put pressure on a wound in case a man gets shot so that I just want to understand. Because I agree that it's kind of like a pandemic here. It's too much. It's unsettling from the standpoint of the amount of people who die, and as well as, you know, losing young people could never be good for our society. But I think beyond that, one of the things that let me say for me, let me talk for everybody. We might not pay attention enough to what it does to the psyche of a society. So for instance, I had to tell Stacey, I said, listen, when we're traveling, we go in and spend a few days. We went through plenty this year. It's plenty different thing, you know. It's COVID, it's dislocated finger, his Achilles bust, his surgery, his long recovery from surgery. This has been a long year. You know what I mean? So when we go on vacation, I want us to enjoy ourselves. Let me let go a little bit, forget everything that's going on, and stretch our legs a little bit, so to speak. And I had to tell her, I said, listen, what we had to do more when we there is, we going back to a place where we went before, right? We had to walk around the area more. And I realized when we were talking about that a part of the reason we don't walk around a whole lot when we go to the States and stuff is because I have this Trinidad mentality that somebody go snatch you, grab this one thing, pan go get shot, you know what I mean? When in fact we in one of the safest places that have to go there. Nightfall is not a threat like it is here. Like I wouldn't walk with Stacey and Zachary going through town 7 o'clock in the night. I don't know about you, but I'm not doing that. I will be paranoid if I have to do it. You know what I mean? Or even when I go by my mother sometimes and I see how lonely her street is sometimes. I wouldn't want to walk with my mother going up the street 9 o'clock at night. I'm frightened. And I'm watching every car now to see when I could, you know what I mean? But it's just not the case in some places that I travel to. Some people reality not like that. So we as a society might be suffering. I don't know if it's called that PTSD. What's PTSD in Trinidad might be post-traumatic stress disorder or pre-traumatic stress disorder. Like we're just waiting for something to happen and we're so frightened when we're doing our day-to-day thing. You know what I mean? Oh, let me give you an example. I have painkillers from this man where this Russian is real rough up my foot. I salute to Dr. Sergey. That's my boy, yeah? But I tell you, this man come from the torture chambers of Russia, wherever they used to torture people and think that way he used to do before he get PhD, doctor degree, whatever it's called that. Because when I go to this man is rough up my foot. I still have stitches in the back of my foot. This man just feel like he taking a scrubbing brush and scrubbing off them stitches, right? So every time I want to leave home to head up, there's a ride share I use to go and to come back. I tell myself, well, I'm going to walk with my little tramadol. So I could take the tramadol before so I could be in as little pain as possible. Because you know what I realized by myself? I afraid the idea of pain more than the pain itself. You know? So the night before I go by here, remember I go in there every 3 days. And this is an improvement because for the last almost a month, I had to go there every other day just to check on this thing, right? And when I go in there, I can't sleep the night before, you know, because I anticipating, boy, what he go do? He go cut again, is more surgery. He go take out stitches. He go put in more stitches. This thing gets stitched back 3 times since we finished with it. So I frightened. And then when I go there, from the time he started to touch my foot, my next foot is started to shake. I can't take the pain and things. So my mind is telling me, take the tramadol before you go so that you're in less pain, you know what I mean? But here, why I don't take that tramadol? I saying, boy, not me. Next time I drop asleep in that car, and they end up selling off my body for parts. They sell my good Achilles. Now I end up somewhere in some ditch. I don't want to do it. And rideshare has been very good to me for the most part, except the drivers who like to talk like me. You know what I mean? So I realize you see now as I was going with my headphones on, I was putting my earbuds. And when I go in the car, I was be having a conversation. I say, yeah, now the rideshare now reach. I'm now going up the road there, heading up in the hospital. I in some pain here, boy. But this car looking thing, I will just pop my foot here. I feel I was sleeping in this car going up the road, because some pain here. That's a new strategy before I go up the road. So the drivers could just let me take a fight. But frightened to take the drowsy medication because of what could possibly happen to you, because we have PTSD. And you go to our next country now where these things is non-factors, nothing going to happen to you. When we around that building or around that area in Miami there, young children walking, going everywhere there to go. I taking an Uber to go 2 blocks across because of fear of what is really absolutely nothing. And that's how we live. So maybe it's them mental health issues, or I just can't figure out why now treat this thing as a health issue. And with me not being able to figure it out, it only brings me to one conclusion, that we still as a society very, very reactive. We see something happen that look real bad. So we had to say something. We had to go on a press conference and we had to think and we had to say, well, how we made the treasury. But this is how we made the treasury how much years ago. They thief out everything. They thief all the police uniform. They thief all the gun and thing before we come back in power. So now it sounds like that. And I'm saying that what we might need is a little bit more of what Mia Motley offering in terms of our vision for what it is we're trying to accomplish as a country. It can't be that the crime high this weekend. So, pow, all you do for me, we can't be in that mode right through. Somebody had to make a plan for the long run, because some of these things I see in this thing sounding good and all right, address the youth, see what are their concerns. I'm not sure what he mean by the part by state funds ending up in criminal hands, because that could mean 2 things. to me, it could mean we have situations where known people to the police and known community leaders have the majority of contracts on the ground in different communities. So the same taxpayers' dollar that is being used to fight crime is actually being used to fund crime by making sure that the gangs always have money. That is historically, that's a thing here. I don't know if that's new to anybody, but that has been happening, right? Or it could also mean that that is the situation you want to address. I want to address the fact that too much of our money ends up in criminal hands, so we don't want anybody who involved in anything to be getting any government contracts. I hope that's what it means, and it don't mean what we need to do is build more box drain and put money in them fellas' pockets so that that's to rob nobody. I hope, again, that might be a solution, but that's a real short-term solution. And the short-term solution is going to be expensive if you try to apply it in the long run, if you understand what I mean. So I will continue to observe this situation about crime being treated as a public health issue. Now, on the topic of crime, let's talk about an article here called Of God and Gary Griffith. Gary Griffith has officially, as I said, I think I talked about this last week, but Gary Griffith has officially put his hat back in the ring for the commissioner of police. And the question is really, when anything that Gary Griffith posts, you tend to find that a lot of people seem to be in support of Gary being the commissioner of police, right? Now, Gary not responsible for policy like sports for youth and stuff, because to me, everything that has to make us a crime-free society has to do with long-term solutions. You had to reach the point where people don't see crime as an option. People see it as abhorrent. People call it out in the communities that we live in. But those things don't happen via policing, if you ask me. You have to give youth more opportunities. They're again to things like sports and music and the academics and community togetherness. We have to get to a point where we trust the police, and we're not in a situation where every time police kill people, we protesting and we don't believe the police and the police kill them and there's a police bullet, but we say this. We can't live in a society where we like that. And we also had to eliminate at least the perception of corruption at the highest levels. Because if I feel people at the highest level corrupt, and then the people who I feel corrupt could come on the TV to tell me, to pay you 4% go cost me 2.5 billion and I can't pay that. And when I sit down home and I see in projects that is much more than 2.5 billion and the project's questionable. When the project's done for how much $1 billion, the hospital can't open. And then somebody say they thief out the equipment. Or when the stadium done for plenty more than $2.5 billion, they say it's sinking, it's on a fault line and we think and we got to rent it out for fat because we can't. What Bob Marley say, according to Mia Motley, you could fool some people sometime, you can't fool all the people all the time. Well, I don't even feel at this point these people in charge here could fool anybody anytime. Neither side. I never talking about PNM or UNC. Same lack of luck like to me. At least what's never vision. What's never vision? What's to say everybody in Laventille must have a pool? Everybody in Sealot and Beatam, I think, must have a pool. And everybody in Laventille must have a veranda. At least he have a vision. Maybe he go flesh that out a little more for me. I see he getting accused of organizing protests and stuff. And coincidentally, I see when he went by, I say coincidentally a lot in this episode, boy. By happenstance, you see him protesting outside police headquarters this week with the same people from Beatam protesting the little youths who get shot. And he had to tell the people how to protest, like how to make a picket line, like how he just walk the pavement and make our wrongs, because they ain't making a line and following him. Everybody's just following him as one large group. But at least Watson given some type of vision that could inspire people, because if you can't inspire people and make avenues for them, how people going to look for betterment for themselves? It's going to be hard. So I see the call for Gary, right? And I always say that Gary good at the optics, because if that man had get shot in tongue and Gary Griffith was there, Gary Griffith was doing an interview in town, right, where the man gets shoot and say the thing and roaches and nobody thing and we go and get to me next to come and kill these roaches. He couldn't talk the talk and show up on the spot and at least instill some level of confidence, albeit false. But he's going to be there, whereas McDonald Jacob tends not to be there at all. And if you're not there, but your policy is reaching the ground and people seeing change, nobody will ask you to be there every day. You get where I'm coming from? But insofar as nobody seeing any major change, it's good when you see Gary on the ground there day to day. But I want to say as well that Gary being back in charge sounds a lot to me like like going to Pahu and the CDC to find out what they're going to find out if your bullets made of lead and if people can still live, or what they're going to do. Instead of a mask mandate, you're going to have a bulletproof vest mandate that says you have to wear a bulletproof vest every day so that we could get the murder rate down. I'm not sure. I ain't sure. But I honestly don't think that Gary going to be any different. At least you'll get plenty talk and I have real content to come here and talk about on a week-to-week basis. But that's it for me, any politics. That is enough for them on the political talk, right? Central bank finds many living paycheck to paycheck. Like, it's just an obvious week. It's just obviously in these papers these days. Making ends meet was harrowing for many during the pandemic as a result of... This is from the Guardian with no... Oh, Ernesto Alves. Thanks, Ernesto Alves, for this insightful work on the central bank findings. Salute everybody in the central bank. This is great work. This is all they're working on. Making ends meet was harrowing for many during the pandemic as results from a recently released survey found that 50% of respondents were not satisfied with their financial. Somebody do a survey to find this out. Why nobody don't call me to do this? All you know, my companies do survey and say, well, call me to do this is the exact kind of work we're looking for. I could have saved all of the survey money and just tell a lot of people go and say that the financial situation is not satisfied with it. I surprised as low as 50%. National Financial Literacy Survey report released by the Central Bank this week found that 29% of people did not have money left over at the end of the month, while 34% worried about paying normal living expenses, with 29% saying that they were just getting by financially. According to Dominic Stoddard, Financial Services Ombudsman, let me write down this man name, Dominic Stoddard, Financial Services Ombudsman. He's the man who like winning money for this survey. Maybe I should do this to see if my ends could meet. He said the findings of his survey's purpose was to assess the impact of National Financial Literacy Program interventions, evaluate the current state of financial literacy in the country, inform the strategic direction of the NFLP, and make an assessment of the public's experience with financial fraud. Okay. So, what else I would say about this? This is like another Captain Obvious situation, and they're showing people line up outside Republic Bank now, like if they're going to collect and cash the check and them kind of thing. Now, financial literacy is something that I now trying to ramble with myself, right? Because when you go to school, they stay in school as long as I stay, right? They teach you a lot about corporate finance and SME finance and what money is and how to do a P&L and how to do a balance sheet. And if you do accounting, you go trial balance and double entry and all them things I couldn't understand at all coming up. But there's very little said about your personal finances, like how to budget, how to make sure you set up a we call an emergency fund in case in case your Achilles bust and you have to pay for surgery now for now, or something. You know, these things happen. Life has happened. And if life happens to you and you don't have savings, you're going to have a problem. And the problem usually comes in the form of borrowing. You have to borrow money from the bank or some credit union or some friend, fool, or family member who willing to lend you money that they will never get back. So, being such an important part of your life, and I was reading somewhere where marriage, the number one reason that marriages fall apart is financial, right? So, me and you, or they were telling us in marriage counseling. Whatever is marriage and counseling is the name of the thing that you have to do in the Catholic Church. They were telling us that one of the main issues you have is when the husband is a spendthrift, but the wife is a miser. So you're not equally yoked financially. And those things cause people to fall out. Or people who get married and didn't know you was in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. And now me and you become one. And this is my debt too. And you know what I mean? Or people who are not managing money properly. Those things tend to be the reasons that marriages end the most. I think in that, I also read where one of the main things that lead to severe mental issues with people, high levels of stress, high levels of anxiety, and so on, is the financial situation. Just what Central Bank describing here, when people live in hand to mouth, right? Again, somewhere. You have a thing with 50% of the people not happy with the financial situation. Large numbers again saying that they live in hand to mouth and they cannot make ends meet. Some of them don't have money left over by the time month end come. Why would this not be something that they start teaching us from Zachary and them age, or even earlier when you're in preschool? Might be too early to tell them about money, but you could give them 5 blocks and let them know that they could, or give them some grapes and let them know that they could save back some for later, and just teach the importance of setting yourself up so that when you get your first job, you're already into the habit and you already understand that, okay, I get a little job here paying my 5,000. or whatever your first job pays. These are these little jobs, you know what I mean? You get some money, you're getting $1,200 for the month. Like we say, it's not enough for you to run a household, but you're 16, 17 and you're working a summer job for the first time. People could get understanding of how much of that 12 something should I put aside? How does the amount that I put aside help me with my future plans in life? Whether I want to do further my education, I want to buy myself a car, I want to move on to my parents' house, I want to buy a house for myself, I want to rent somewhere, I want to, invest in myself in some way, some course or whatever it is you might do. Rather than doing like me and taking the $1,500, the first $1,500 I get, I went and buy a pair of Jordan immediately. From the office straight to the drag mall. It's the best purchase I ever make. I'll take it, and I'll do the same thing when I get in UA. I get a credit card for $1,500. I buy a phone for the same $1,500. Take me about 12 years to pay off that 15, because the $1,500 turns to a limit increase and a limit increase till it's more than 10 times that amount, and I can't find the money to pay it off, right? But a part of it is that we don't get much financial education. So if the central bank has a national financial literacy program, when will we see programs like these made part of the school curriculum? So that I'm not just learning this through somebody passing in the central bank. I want it to be an examinable CXC course so that people can understand what is the purpose of critical illness insurance? What is the purpose of life insurance? How can you retire? How can you skate off a large purchases like a house, a large purchase like a car? How can we do these things? And so if you have a financial literacy course that's taught throughout school, so you call it something at primary school level, you call it something else at how at primary school level you do intro to accounts, and then A levels is do principles of accounts or whatever it is. Do it like that. So you come through the system understanding, okay, why do I do this? Why is it important? I'm not saying that you're not going to have people who still go and run into financial problems, but it probably wouldn't be 50%. So when you add up all these percentages, you're talking about a society where 70-something, 80% of the people unhappy with their financial situation. How then are you going to solve a crime problem? Again, it seems like if all these people working on different things. So the financial literacy program is a good one. I'm surprised that the central bank is reporting this, because this is we could have guessed some of these figures. But the deeper question is, without long-term planning, how do we address the fact that there's financial shortfall for people on a month? How do we think these people who have in this financial shortfall, how they're filling it? Let me talk about the crime situation where you could have something and a man take your thing. A man take your car. 2 times in my life, I had a car stolen from me. Well, full disclosure, right? One was a rental. Shouldn't laugh at that, right? I shouldn't laugh at that. But one was a rental. I went to play football on Fatima Grounds at there in a park. When I come out, a car was parked. Which part the car was parked? The car gone so long that somebody done take the park. I stand up watching the key. And then another time I had a beat over mother, give me this car. This was my first car. And the morning I get up, I go on Limehole Independence weekend, I get up to go to work and the car gone. I never heard anything about that car again, ever. You know what I mean? So those types of crimes where you end up with loss, right? So somebody stole something from you, obviously, to sell. Or this situation with this, what do you call the people now? Not the spare parts, the scrap iron dealers. It's so annoying. We're hearing everywhere you go in the country, cable hanging down. And we just had to get more and more third world, you know. Cable hanging down. Nobody even coming and clean up after this thing, much less to try to put a stop to it. Now we're hearing a church bell gone missing in Pittsburgh, and the wicked president of the Scrap Iron Dealers Association acting like if, oh my God, this is going too far, and it's giving us a bad name, and it's your people and them buying the thing, bro. And the scrap iron racket is a US dollar racket, if people don't know. So that's all that scrap iron, and especially copper, when they get that's selling for US dollars, and people sending ships here and getting outside US dollars done so hard to find in this country already. So moral of the story is, if central bank right and so much people unhappy with the financial situation, a percentage of those people will find nefarious reasons, obviously, to get their money. So they go take your things, including your scrap iron. Some will get involved in activities where, due to their nature, disputes have to be settled on the streets. How a song there? A song diplomatic. Some of these people who get themselves involved in types of... Because for me, in my business, if we have a dispute, we're going to talk that out, you know what I mean? We're going to reason that out, and hopefully we could get over that. And even if we can't get over it, we're going to go in the court, and we're going to go through mediation. We're going to figure out our way, and we probably ain't going to go to court. Sometimes you just call that dead, you know what I mean? It's a word going to court and paying lawyers to do all this. But there are some businesses where calling the police may not be an option. Going to courts to settle disputes mightn't be an option. So you settle disputes in the streets. And in the streets, disputes settled with things that bad for your health, according to Rowley, like lead, copper, hollow points, and all these things. That's how you settle disputes out there. So when you see a situation where we can't be safe, people robbing your things, you can't be safe because people settling disputes in public in broad daylight where you could find people, and all of a sudden now you had a scramble, or your good day was going so great, you went by Sergey and got a piece of good news. Right, nice. You know what I mean? Your foot healing, you should be good. And on your way home now, when you go and get a taxi, shot fired in tongue, you're on your one foot now, you can't, you go and damage your foot again, you're going by Sergey, you say we're back to square one. Why we have to be living like that as a society? But nobody seems to want to take this step back to say, I cannot immediately address your financial situation by giving you a 25% raise or 4%. That's probably not going to help you. I cannot address it immediately by creating jobs for you, because I don't know where government is create jobs from. And I don't know if that idea of government creating jobs is not a good one either, because you see them kind of make work thing. Work without production is a problem. Maybe one day we go talk about that. Anytime you're working on something that nobody can buy, you create an issue for society, might be unbeknown to yourself, right? But at least you're getting money in your pocket. The problem is that the value of that money is going to deteriorate every single year. And while you're feeling like you make more money, you're going to be able to buy less. Tune in for the next lesson when we get to that, right? But when you have people who not making ends meet, and you cannot address that in the short run, those are long-term problems like teaching financial literacy in school. If you introduce that in schools today, it does not help the people who committing the crimes today. You're going to bear fruit from that 10 years down the road, 15 years, 20 years. But again, it don't seem that we have a vision. It's just something happened, let me react to it, and let me try to fix it. So the central bank say, oh God, 50%. So next week you go here, all right, here what we doing? We're going in the hood, and all gangs, we're going to call all you in a seminar, and we're going to teach all you what to do with all your drug money, you know what I mean? And we'll make sure that everybody's safe and sound, and everything will be good. But I don't want to talk about none of this no more. This is too much heaviness for one episode for me. I really want to talk about Anna Ramdas, who's the greatest article I've seen here for a long time. That says women heroes. The rest of the episode dedicated to women, right? Because the women been doing great and we've been talking. I should have done this in the start of the episode before talking about these politicians get more warm. Women heroes in the front line at Sinclair. A team of policewomen will be leading the Sinclair Police Station and its department, which includes the Victim and Witness Support Unit and the Special Victims Department. Acting Police Commissioner McDonald Jacob, the Shipper woman there too, will be led and managed. No, he said the Sinclair Police Station will be led and managed by newly minted woman Inspector Renee Bain Keller, who recently was in charge of the Belmont Police Station. He said Keller is expected to maintain the high standard of and innovativeness she exhibited at that station. As acting commissioner of police, I am certain that with these efforts and improvements to conditions and continued community partnership and outreaches, the officers at Sinclair Station will meet and surpass the target of a 10% reduction in serious reported crimes and a 5% reduction in violent crime. Okay, that's all right. You have a target. Okay. He urges frontline heroes to take care of their new home where they can make a change in society. The top cop said, why they asking him all these questions? Why did they ask the woman some questions? I ain't seeing nothing from the ladies themselves. I ain't reading nothing else McDonald Jacob say. I just want to say salute to the women who are in charge. Salute to Renee Bain Keller and the women who are in charge of the Sinclair Police Station. I just want to say that with this spiraling crime rate, I'm going to Sinclair to report everything that I have to report. I'm not reporting nothing nowhere else. If I had to get a certificate, a matter of fact, I need a certificate of good character right now. I feel I'll go up Sinclair and see if I could get this. Because, I mean, who want to go in? I went in Chagona's police station the other day, and I will say that, let me just stop short by saying it's not the most pleasant of experiences, especially on one foot. I tell you, everybody is be asking, where's this RTA? We have RTA again, accident now. I once where I could go in the police station and somebody nice could greet me and say, "Hi, sir, how you doing? You okay?" You know what I mean? Don't watch like I was a criminal. Like coming in there from a police certificate of good character or coming to report a crime that happened to me already, so I don't shaken up. And once when I come in, they all treat me nice. So salute to all the women who are gonna be running. I find they should make police station let be woman alone. You know what I mean? Let me change the timbre of how police deal with people. That's one thing I will give Gary credit for. When Gary was there, you seen a little bit of difference in terms of the way police talk and treat with people. But it reminds me of a song, and I want to dedicate this to the Sinclair Police Station ladies.
They should have woman police in Trinidad.
Yes.
Bet your life, spoiler would be more than glad. They should have woman police in Trinidad. Bet your life, spoiler would be more than glad. Only waiting till one keeping duty. I running right away.
And I kissing she.
And when she snatch onto me, I won't say a word. But I hugging up my
Police going down the road.
And all the time, I holding me from she to hold me tight. The woman police must hold me tight. And I'm doing all that for spite for she to hold me tight, tight, tight. A fella told me they would be more bad than the male police we have in Trinidad.
Yes.
But I don't care, they can be bad like a cobra. Don't talk when you see I drink my liquor. And I put in from west to east. I walking right away and hug up my police. She can hold me round my neck, squeeze me till I dead. But I kissing from she waist right up to she head. And all the time I
pulling away from she for she to hold me tight.
The woman police must hold me tight.
And I doing all this for spite for she to hold me
tight, tight, tight. And when she carry me inside the chat room, a coupling of my police like a bridegroom. When the female sergeant asks me anything, is a heap to do darling a answering. On the chunks, my love, sweet coquette. I know by those names she would start to fret. But she can beat me, she can put me tear on my clothes. I retreating, advancing for my blows. And all the time, I pulling away from she for she to hold me tight. The woman police must hold me tight. And I doing all that was right for she to hold me tight, tight, tight. I'd be a real nuisance in the place, of course. If they really were to have woman police force, give them Tommy guns, give them hand grenades. Bet your life I am afraid I'm making the grade. Yes, I'm going through the battle zone, just to hug up you, Tilma, Polly and Joan. They can shoot down spoiler, I might die, no doubt. But with the print of a lipstick on top of my mouth, and that is why I pull in it from to hold me tight. The woman police must hold me tight.
And I doing all this for spite for she to hold me tight, tight, tight. Salute to all the women in Sinclair Police Station. As we begin up the women, I want to read this real quick too. Trinidad and Tobago senior women's rugby team won the bronze medal at the Rugby America's Northwest 12s tournament on Saturday in Kingston, Jamaica. Salute to the women. Salute to the ladies flying the flag high. Bronze medal. Competing in the third place playoff, Katara Monroe scored 3 tries. Now I'm going to read this like if I know something about rugby. All I know in rugby is I'm not playing. I don't like it. I find it a little rough for me. I grew up inside it. But I'm going to read this like if I really know about rugby, right? Competing in the third place playoff, Katara Monroe scored 3 ties, while skipper Leah Kentiba and Onella George had a try apiece in the win over Cayman Islands. Salute them. That's a lot of tries. Tries, good. Try mean what they throw away or they score. I'm not sure. Trinidad and Tobago ran out winners 25-12. So they try 3 times and they win. All right, 25-12 to claim the bronze medal at the UE campus in Mona. TNT lost their opening game against Jamaica 5-10. I guess they didn't try enough there. Before bouncing back to the defeat to Dominican Republic 7-0. Dominican Republic didn't try at all. The women's national senior team suffered another defeat to USA 20-5 before rising off the canvas once again to claim third place. The USA won the title, edging Jamaica out 17-4. Salute to the women police. The women rugby team who claimed third place. And as we talk in Jamaica again, I want to say salute to Shelly Ann Fraser Price, Elaine Thompson Hera, and the next one name Beckles. Jamaica Women World think I'll be prepared to talk about this, right? Jamaican women have taken over the sprints in another story. It's another story for the men. Oh God, all right. Let me do this the men now. We could talk about the women without this and the men. Sharika Jackson. That's the person I'm looking for. So it's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price first, Elaine Thompson-Herah second, and Sharika Jackson third. The women's doing another 1, 2, 3. If I'm not mistaken, they did the 1, 2, 3 twice in the Olympics. And now they're doing it again in the world for the second time, I think. But I'm a little surprised because when I see Thompson-Herah, right? Elaine Thompson-Herah have a kind of gangster finish. That's why I like she looks serious like a judge. You know what I mean? I like that. I like seriousness. But when I see her win the Olympics back-to-back, remember that she won 100 and 200 back-to-back in the last 2 Olympics, right? I tell myself, boy, like she defeated Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price now. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price looking like she's second place, no matter what she do, and Elaine gone clear. And I ain't following the athletics till the big meets come up, right? But I was surprised Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price come through and win again. I don't know, Thompson-Herah seems to not be able to get a gold medal in the world as often as Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, because I think this is Shelly-Ann's 5th gold medal in the World Games. So salute to them. And salute to the women generally who putting us up there. Salute to Mia Motley. And of course, I want to play this one for you. I can't stop without playing this one, Yes.
Who's the boss? The boss. A woman's place was always in the home, while she husband went outside and roam. Since the beginning of time, we standing in line, taking we grind, following behind. Now we woman have changed because without remorse, woman is boss. When it comes to caring, sharing and achieving, woman is boss.
Yes.
The 18th century saw a change. Now man find woman acting strange. We no longer depend on man to earn a living. We going outside and earning we own shilling. Cause we woman have changed because without remorse, woman is boss. When it comes to substance and vantage performance, woman is boss. Who's the boss? The boss. Who's the boss? The woman's role we know as a miracle maker, wife, mother, teacher, etc. With the ability to combine all of these roles, well, you must agree it's a woman's world. Cause we woman have changed because without remorse, woman is boss. When it comes to quality, production and dignity, woman is
Boss. Ba ba da ba da bam 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 ba ba da bidi dam bam 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 pi bam bam bidi bam pi bam bam bidi bidi bam. Hey, just a couple things to talk about before you guys. Shaka is slapping a woman, but salute him and getting your doctorate from Newcastle University. We're gonna talk about these things first. Salute Shaka. Shaka is a boss too. No woman, but Shaka is a boss. And 2 bosses on the foreign front. But take your time and go and check out Dave Chappelle's speech on receiving his accepting the naming of the Performing Arts Center in his high school. And well, all the news we had up to that point was that he refused the award, or he didn't want his name there, and he was going to name it something else. And he showed his speech where Chappelle going to the next level. I don't think Chappelle is not a comedy special, but he's a kind of man, when he talking, you had to listen. So he there, and it's funny in between, and it's serious, and it's the first time I ever see him getting emotional while he talking. He's somebody who I admire for being able to talk for so long and fully composed throughout all of it. Even when he's stumbling a little bit, he's fully in control of what he's doing. And he taking you somewhere, like he telling you, going and telling you a story and going and tell you how it will end. And he's still keeping you completely interested in that story from beginning to end. That is extremely hard to do, in my opinion. So I admire Chappelle, and I look at what he does. I watch his specials over and over to see everything that he's do. And this was one of those things, again, where he was talking about where he started off and what he had to do and what it was like transferring from that school to come to this school and everything, and why he felt it important that students who were against his last special, The Closer, which we did a kind of deep dive on here because of his comments on the LGBTQ community, they basically protested his name being on the center. And he talked about why that was so hurtful to him, because of what he defended by his comedy in terms of free speech was actually defending those same people who were protesting against him. But I don't want to steal anything from it. I want to go and take it in because Chappelle is a genius in terms of just storytelling and getting there. That is what I aspire to be. And Bill Burr, which was a real comedy special, also genius level. Like, it's amazing how Bill Burr stays in character. Bill Burr is an angry white guy who just tell you all about his anger problems. And if you're into stand-up comedy and you're never taking Bill Burr, taking the last Bill Burr special on Netflix, because that is a masterpiece, because the topics he's talking about so contentious: gender issues, cancel culture, abortion, which is a major issue in the States right now, which is contentious. Typically, those conversations, you know that some people say I don't discuss religion and politics. I think it takes a certain skill to be able to make light of topics that people so tense about, and there are not many people who are as good as that than man like Bill Burr. So that is it for me. Again, out here, I'm going to pop my foot again. I should leave all you with a song. This episode feel like about 4 or 5 hours to me. I tell you all you, this is a lot, but we here, and I'm going to leave all you with a song. And this is a song that I'll say, with everything that I'm going through with this foot here, right? It is beyond the obvious physical pain and the issues with the foot. This is a real ride. I'll say it's an emotional roller coaster. Let me put it like that, right? Because one day I feel real good, like if, all right, I'm healing and I'm good, and next week I should be thing and I should be back out there and I'm walking and going physiotherapy. And literally, by the next day, I be feeling like, boy, listen, this is the worst thing, and I'm depressed. Listen, my mother tell me stop saying I'm depressed on this thing, but that's how I be feeling. I be feeling like if this will never end, and what bad news I could get now, and I can't sleep in the night. This is a real emotional roller coaster. I'm extremely grateful to have so much friends and family around me who's extremely supportive of everything, who check in on me all the time and pass and check me just to talk and think, who seem to surrounded by people who seem to appreciate that going through anything like this could be emotional without coming and talking about my emotions. You know, there's some people that say, how are you feeling emotionally? Would you like me to cry with you? It's not like that. It's just come and check me and lime a 5. All when I can't take a drink, they're taking a drink. And that is a special thing to be able to have. It's also, I feel privileged and lucky to have a job where I could literally hand everything over to everybody and not be stressed out about anything, because I really just had to focus on healing during this time. So that is an enormous relief to have things like that. And I can't imagine what it's like if you do have those things in place, because it's just like I'm able to eliminate all the other stresses from my life just to focus on this. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. And going by the doctor this week, I had a little bit of a scare this weekend, to be honest with you, going into this weekend, because when I was coming off of some good news, boy, you know, we see something in that little incision that didn't look right. Home here, me and Dr. Stacy, and we say, boy, wait now. We could be going back to square one. And listen, that was heavy because I tell myself, boy, listen, I'm in a position now. I might have to cancel my little vacation plans. A whole set of things be running through my head. I just diagnose myself over and over for the whole time. And this week I remember a song. And this song, I'll even always not a calypso, right? But this is a song that gave me through plenty little hard times. And somehow before I went by that doctor this week, I was pretty sure that I'm going to get bad news on things. I went in the bathroom and I rock out this song a little bit because I remember how difficult it was when I was on campus and trying to study and going through the last stages of my degree. People know how hard that could be. And I used to listen to this song every day. And I also used to play this song before every exam or before every big thing I had to do. If I had a big presentation to do on work or a big client meeting, exams, everything that I found was big in life, I used to play this song before. So I want to leave Oli with this whole song before this episode done.
They can't keep a good man down. Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a draw first. But I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. When they come with their evil stuff, I just listen whenever they talk. I used to light into my dark. He cut and clear all my path. They fight me without a cause, trying to make my life so hard. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, give it all reward. I'm so solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now.
Yes?
Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. So down to mix me up in your dirty game. You're only trying to tarnish my name. You're only looking for the innocent to blame, when you're the ones who wish the guns down the lane. You only cause destruction and the pain, but the righteous believes in the rain. Love is all I got to give and I'm not to shine. Looking for the future, the slayer can't tame. But I'm so solid as a rock and they just can't stop me now. Even when they set their traps, they just can't stop me now. People will say this and that, they just can't stop me now. Even when they set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. So they can't keep a good man down. Always keep a smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Ooh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse. Here comes the officers asking for a search. They found no weapon, just only a draw first.
Solid as a rock, they just can't stop me now. Set up roadblocks, they just can't stop me now. I am going to see you all in next week. Have a great week. And by the way, I played that song a few times and when I was doctor, the news was good. So we're good. We're on track so far. But I will see you all in next week.